Velkommen til Vestkast episode 30. Denne episoden inneholder Bryggerpresentasjoner nummer 14 til og med 19. Det er alle intervjuer som ble gjort under årets Bergen Craft Beer Fest, som gikk av stabelen her i Bergen 19. og 20. mai. Vestkast er støttet av Vestbrygg, vår favorittleverandør av utstyr og råvarer til hjemmebrygging, og Pingvinen, vår favorittleverandør av norsk husmannsmat og norsk håndverkssølv. Husk at du kan følge Vestkast på Facebook og Twitter, og du kan gjerne rate oss på iTunes. Og ikke minst, vi har nå opprettet en PayPal donation-link på vår hjemmeside vestkast.no. Så har du lyst til å hjelpe oss til å lage enda mer og enda bedre podcast, så kan du klikke deg inn der. Denne episoden er altså en serie bryggerpresentasjoner. Først ut er polske Browar Kingpin, så kommer i rask rekkefølge Transient fra USA. Så kommer Vaat fra Estland, Dry&Bitter fra Danmark, Wild Beer fra England, og til slutt Borg Brygghus fra Iceland. Men aller først en liten prat med vår venn Simon Martin fra YouTube-kanalen Real Ale Craft Beer. So now it's time to welcome back Mr. Simon Martin to the podcast. This is your second time here, isn't it?
This is my second podcast with you. My first time actually in your studio, and fantastic setup.
It's May 19th and it's 11 o'clock in the morning. We already had 3 different beers.
Yeah.
And we are going to Bergen Craft Beer Fest.
In 1 hour.
In 1 hour,
yes.
Or maybe half an hour. How do you like it here?
What a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
The people, first off, are just so welcoming, so fantastic, so lovely. The city of Bergen itself is a beautiful, beautiful, historic city that I really want to kind of get my teeth into over the next few days, really walk around and just soak it all up. And of course, talking about soaking things up, we'll soak up some beer as well over the next couple of days.
That's what we're here for.
Yes, absolutely.
But tell me a little bit about yesterday.
Yesterday we brewed a Vermont-style IPA for Leisure and Microbrewery. It's a collaboration. It's our third collaboration beer. One Imperial Stout we brewed 2 years ago, and that was barrel-aged on a whiskey cask, a peated whiskey cask. Last year we brewed a beer which I think a lot of Norwegians will know now, and that's a beer called Hoppy Simon. That's a 9% ABV double IPA, with Leisure and Microbrewery. Fantastic beer, and I understand it's doing really well, Rolf.
Yeah, it is. It's selling really good.
Yeah.
And people are happy with it.
Yeah.
Good ratings and everything, yeah.
And so yesterday was the turn of Juicy Simon. We brewed a beer called Juicy Simon, which is a Vermont-style IPA with Vermont yeast. And I think it's the most amount of hops that Leisure and Microbrewery have ever used in a brew before.
It's not the cheapest brew ever.
No. Very quite an expensive brew. So you got something to look out for in the future for this beer.
We did a tasting yesterday. We tasted some of the really top-rated New England IPAs.
Yeah.
So where are we heading for? We had Heady Topper. We had what did we have?
We had a Heady Topper. We had some beers from Other Half Brewery based in New York.
Yeah.
We had a beer from Verdant in the UK that I brought with me. We had Cloudwater Brewing Company's double IPA Virgin 13. So we really basically put all of these beers on the table, did a taste test, and really we wanted to set the benchmark. We wanted to see where the standard was for where we wanted to kind of place this beer. And I think now we left it with a very good understanding of what we need to be doing, and achieving our goal of producing a beer of that top quality for people to enjoy.
We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and it's quite interesting to see the development of IPAs from like when the so-called beer revolution started until now. Yeah. I mean, we all remember the kind of two-dimensional IPAs with lots of malt sweetness and enormous amounts of bitterness.
Bitterness on the back end, yeah. And you can see me smiling.
Yeah.
That's my...
I know you love them.
Yeah. That's where it kind of started for me. That's really where... beers like that make me smile. They still make me smile. But yeah, the evolution of certainly IPAs has been incredible. Incredible. It went from, like you say, two-dimensional sweet malt and then big bitterness on the back end. And then it went over to lots of flavour, but lots of bitterness. And now it's really about losing that bitterness and just producing really juicy style IPAs with which they sometimes, they mostly taste of grapefruit juice or orange juice, and it took
mango
me, mango flavours, and it really took me a while to grasp it, to be honest. Because I like the bitterness, it makes me smile on the back end. But I think I finally got there, and hence we're brewing a Vermont style IPA. I've accepted the style. I like the style now, and I'm really happy to brew one.
And well, you've done your video blog for how many years now? 7?
Over 7 years, yeah, over 7 years.
So you had tasted quite a lot of IPAs over the years.
I'd say probably between 700 and 1,000, because it's probably my favourite style of beer. 3,500 beers in total, but I'd say a third of that is probably IPA. Yeah,
but that's your favourite beer style.
Probably that, and a very good Baltic Porter or a very good Russian Imperial Stout, as we're enjoying here today. Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about the beers. We did some reviews for your blog. Relay Craft Beer. You find it at YouTube, of course.
Yes.
We started off with Dark Horizon 5th edition from Nøgne.
Oh, it's wonderful.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
What a wonderful beer. Yeah. And it's nice to see that Hansa purchased the brewery, 2 years ago now? 3 years ago. It's good to see that they've held the quality. Yeah. They've just carried on leaving Nøgne to their own devices and producing fantastic beer. Because the worry always is, isn't it, that they can be kind of downgraded when a big brewery gets hold of them. But it's really nice to see that Hansa have left them to produce fantastic beers. Still.
But we both agree that it was a bit heavy to start off with a 16% Imperial Stout 10 o'clock in the morning.
10 o'clock in the morning. Well, I rushed my bacon and eggs at 9:30 because I knew Rolf was downstairs in reception at the hotel. So I scoffed that down with a couple of glasses of orange juice. Went down to meet Rolf, and then we dashed over here to the studio. And then, what a wonderful studio. Wonderful studio. And we cracked open a 16% Russian Imperial Stout in the morning. Yeah.
It's a hard life, tough life.
Yeah.
And then we reviewed Belgian Double from Seafjell, Meltzer. It was quite nice, wasn't it?
Really enjoyed that. Yeah. After the 16% monster of a beer, it was kind of a little bit more, I'd say, accepting. You know, your body's, this is nice. This is nice. It's 7.7%, still big for the morning, but I think it was a very good breakfast beer, wasn't it? We both you could see our shoulders relaxing a bit when, we were getting into it by that stage and enjoying this Belgium Double. Yeah, it was good. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
And now we're, in the glass, we have Requie number 4 from Chin. Russian Imperial Stout, barrel-aged on Bordeaux barrels, red wine barrels.
Yeah, this is probably my favourite beer of the morning, I'd say. Absolutely fantastic brewery. We talked about the head brewer.
Yeah, Aspen.
The company's grown over 10 years to a nice scale, to a very profitable business. And then he goes back to his roots of putting a... Is it 800?
Yeah, I think it's 800 litres.
800 litres mini brewery, systems. And he's gone back to being in charge of that. And he gets to play, it's his playground, as you say, Rolf, and he gets to play around. And that really shows a brewer's true passion. Yeah. That really does show that it's not about the money. It's not about, of course, everybody needs money for a business to survive, but it's really about his passion for beer and to play around with different styles. And to have that small kit now, he can really do whatever he wants. Yeah.
And the things he do is really nice, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, this beer is wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful Russian Imperial Stout.
Yeah, with this little extra level of the red wine and the barrel. They all,
Fantastic mouthfeel, rich, creamy, dense flavors, wonderful vinous red wine qualities, and fantastic beer.
Let's talk a little bit about the future for Relay Craft Beer. I understand you have a lot of plans.
Yes.
For the future.
yes, I do. Yes, I've made no secret about it that I would like to turn it into my full-time business one day. It's something that I'm working very hard to get towards. You see a lot of YouTubers. They blog about technology, and they have many millions of subscribers. Computer games. And I think that it's because it's a very young demographic. It's kids love their mobile phones and their tech videos. Kids love their computer games. For my own kids, I can just see that the evolution of YouTube, it just kind of grows up. So when they become adults and when they start drinking beer, the plan is that they switch over to watching not just tech blogs and computer games, but maybe some Russian Imperial style videos from some of us YouTubers, and I certainly think there's a market there for a few of us to turn it into a full-time business. We've just passed 115,000 views a month, so I think the goal over the next 3 to 4 years would be to push that up to about 1 million views a month, and I think we're more or less nearly there. Then that's when we kind of say, yeah, it's a business. It's a business that we can enjoy and love, and which we do now. But you can polish things up when you can spend more time on it. Yeah.
And so in like 10 or 15 years' time, the only way your kids can see you is watching you at YouTube, because you travel a lot. This has been we've been speaking off air, and didn't really have any plans at the start of 2017. I kind of knew I'd be coming to Norway because the guys at Leisure and Microbrewery, we just love to see each other. We love to brew. And then there's always the trip to Poland. But just things out of the blue. I was at the airport to come out here in Amsterdam, and I had an invitation to go to Belgium to cover a beer festival in Leuven on the 3rd of June, which is just kind of 2 weeks away. And then Poland 3 days after that. And then we've got an opportunity in September to go to Michal and Friends in Germany. It'd be my first ever trip to Germany. And of course, maybe we can come back and cover the Bergen Øl Festival.
The Bergen Øl Festival in September.
Yeah, first weekend of September. Yeah.
So very busy. Yeah. Very busy. So maybe by 10 years' time, I mean, it'll be all over the world. China, Japan. I'll be dragging you with me, Roll. We'll be going together.
I'll be happy to. Okay, so maybe we should go and join the festival now.
I think so. Oh, what a fantastic podcast we have here. I really enjoyed it. Sitting here, very relaxed in the studio,
drinking beer.
Yeah.
Talking about beer. Talking about the things we love.
I'd like to thank my Norwegian following here for making me feel so welcome. Wonderful people, a wonderful place. Come and say hi. Come and see me at the beer festival. Let's share a beer.
Cheers, Simon.
Cheers, Rolf. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, hi, so I'm Mike from Kingpin, Polish craft brewery. We're a gypsy brewer. We brew in 2 different breweries, but as a brewer, in my opinion, I have to brew my beers myself. So it's not like we send an email as a gypsy brewer, but we travel. I'm from Warsaw, so to one brewery I've got 400 kilometers, to the second one 350 kilometers, one way. So every time I travel to brew, the same as guys, Marek and Bartek are from Poznań, so they have quite a longer distance to one of the breweries, but to the other one it's shorter for them. So yeah.
How long have you been brewing for?
It depends. I started brewing as a home brewer 13 years ago, so quite a lot of... Yeah, that's quite a lot of time. But we started as a craft brewery 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And the whole craft beer revolution in Poland started 6 to 7 years ago. So
still a bit young then.
Yes, still a little bit long, and it's quite funny because as we started 3 years ago, for many people that are now going to the craft brewing and are interested in craft beers and so on and so forth, we are the veterans of the scene because we're from 3 years. So when they started widening the knowledge in the craft beers. What can you buy other beers than the macro ones? Kingpin was always there, so yeah. Wonderful.
I've got a glass with your rock and roller.
Rock and roll,
Yeah.
That was one of the first 2 beers that we've brewed. Yeah, those 3 years ago. Rock and roll is an American pale ale with dried lemon verbena leaves and with bitter orange peel, and of course a lot of American hops.
It's quite bitter.
Yeah, but it's not the most bitter beer that we've got.
You got even more bitter.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got Imperial double/Imperial IPA.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of IPAs. So yeah.
So you also had a grisette with chamomile.
Yeah,
on the top list, yeah.
Because I don't know if you happen to know, but on the Burger and Craft Beer Festival, you've got sessions. So for each session, you've got 4 sessions, and for each session, you've got 2 different beers. And for the first session, we've got the Rock and Roll, and we've got Alphonse. Alphonse is a grisette, and grisette is basically a low ABV saison.
Yeah.
And we've brewed this one with chamomile flowers, both for the boil and for the maturing. It's a very nice beer for starting the day.
Yeah. I'm going to try it next.
Oh, yeah.
But can you talk a little bit more about the beer styles you brew and the beer styles you like and how you see...
We've started in Zarzecze, in the brewery, and the main idea standing behind our beers was to brew beers that are with something, some adjuncts, additions, so on and so forth. So the first one was Rock and Roll, and the second one that we brewed in the same time was Berserker. And Berserker is a black IPA with heather flowers, with jasmine, and with sweet orange peel. So every beer that we've brewed in Zarzecze had some addition to it, besides the double IPA, but we brewed this one in collaboration with a band, so the addition was the band. But we've started at the end of the last year in the brewing, also in the second brewery, Niechanowo, and the main idea standing behind those beers was to brew beers that are true to the style, like BJCP true to the style. I hope that it will catch on, because there's not so many people that know, for example, how to taste a saison, and for many people it's like, it's not too hoppy enough. Yes, when I sometimes look at the rate beer, maybe not on the Untapped, but on the rate beer reviews, like, it's a saison, the fuck do you want?
Yeah.
It's like, it's an American pale ale, it's a saison, it's a milk stout. I always love the reviews. For example, we had a review of a milk stout. Yeah, it's quite a decent beer, but I don't like milk stout. Why did you buy this one? Why for?
Yeah. But that's the problem with this beer revolution and all the hipsters,
Yeah, that's the main problem. Because, I'm also a beer judge, and I've judged in the USA, I've judged in Japan, various countries. And even if I do not like some style as something I would choose to drink, because at the moment I would like to drink a beer, and I would choose a beer, maybe I wouldn't choose this one. But it's not like I do not like it, so I will give it a low review because I don't like it. It's not like it's. For example, I even had what I had when I was studying for the BJCP exam. I bought various styles that were in the style guidelines, and I bought a Radenberger Pilsner, which is a macro, which is a huge brew, which is widely available. And to be honest, I had pleasure drinking because it was so true to the style, this one. It hadn't had any flaws. It just a normal beer. But I think that main problem nowadays is that you've got so many huge brews, you've got so many huge beers, you've got attitude to it, and many people start from the, as we call it, high C. They start from the barrel-aged imperial stouts, triple, double IPAs, imperial stouts, everything like that. And if they start their journey from the craft beers, starting from like imperial stouts, barrel-aged, and omnipolo, they not quite know how to appreciate normal styles.
Yeah.
A normal Pilsner, you can have a wonderful craft beer Pilsner. That will be like 10 plato, 11 plato.
Yeah.
It will be just a normal beer, a normal pleasant beer for drinking. You can have a grisette, you can have a saison, you can have a dry stout.
Like Guinness.
But it's like we've started from those, we've started from sour beers, and it's like we do not know how to appreciate the beers that are normal.
Yeah.
I started homebrewing because I love stouts, and basically those 13 years ago in Poland, I had 3 stouts to choose. There was Beamish, there was Murphy's, and there was Guinness, and no other stouts.
Yeah.
I couldn't buy any milk stout, I couldn't buy any imperial stout, I couldn't buy foreign extra stout. When my friend brought Guinness Special Expert from Belgium, when he was like 12 years ago, oh fuck, what a wonderful beer.
Yeah.
I still love it, because it's a wonderful beer, as in style. But many people would,
It's just beer after all.
yes, it's just beer. Beer should give you, joy.
Yeah. Pleasure and joy. Yeah.
Yeah, beer should be joyful.
And that's what we are doing here, enjoying
Yeah,
ourselves.
that's wonderful. We've got lovely weather,
Fantastic.
because I know that...
I don't think you know how lucky you are.
yeah,
being in Bergen in this weather.
I was told, because I was told that only circa about 50 days in Bergen aren't without rain.
True.
And it's not raining today, and there's also sun.
Fantastic.
And it's quite warm, actually. So it's a wonderful weather for a beer festival.
It is. One last question before we end this. Poland is also very well known for meads.
Yeah.
Are you into meads yourself?
Yeah, I am. To be honest, it's very funny because on Untapped, the first place on Untapped is a mead from Poland for the Polish market. It's funny you've mentioned it because today or tomorrow, one of the most known multi-tap bars / pubs in Warsaw has an event concerning craft meads. So it's wonderful. I think that meads they've started even before the craft beer, because there were so many small manufacturers. One of the most known, I think, is Jaros. You've got Apis and so on.
But it's a long tradition in Poland, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a very long tradition, and you have 2 types of those. You can either boil the honey with water, or it's then in Polish it's called sycone, or you wouldn't boil it, so you have niesycone. And it's like just made with water and fermented.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of going on. You also have something like bragot.
Yeah.
So mead / beer. And there were a couple of bragots brewed, let's say, in Poland recently.
But Kingpin doesn't brew any meads or bragots?
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Not
But it will
yet.
come,
Not
yeah?
yet.
Yeah.
Maybe someday, but now I'm so into brewing new beers, new recipes. Even Monday and Wednesday this week, I was brewing new test batches at home. And we've done something very funny. I don't know if it was yet in Europe, but I won't say that it wasn't made, because I don't know. Didn't find any information. I know that it wasn't made in Poland, but for some of our beers we use coffee. And the coffee is especially roasted for us, then brewed for us. We use espresso, but we've made a barrel-aged coffee for the beer. So we've had green coffee poured into an empty, fresh Jack Daniel's Bourbon barrel, or should I say Tennessee whiskey. And it matured there for 4 weeks. And it was wonderful because the normal green coffee was this size, and after it got the liquid from the barrel, it was like this one.
Yeah, it was increasing. Yeah.
Yes,
Soaking up.
We roasted the coffee this Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
Now it matures because it has the gas and so on, and we will use this one for our imperial stout. So about 50 kilograms of coffee will be ground, will be brewed into espressos, and then used for the coffee. Because for the geyser and turbo geyser, the batch is 50 hectoliters. For the geyser, we use 60 liters of espresso.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, and for the turbo geyser, we use 120 liters of espresso. So for our friends in Brisman Cafe from Poznań, it takes about a week to brew the coffee, shot by shot, because like, I don't know, 8,000 shots of espresso just to brew the coffee for the beer. And it will be the same with this one. And we've tried the freshly roasted coffee from the barrel. Yeah, you've got the bourbon in it.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a lot of barrel-aged coffee going on in the States. Even I think that even Starbucks in Seattle? I don't remember the city, but in one of the cities, the Starbucks has 2 different barrel-aged coffees in their offers. It's wonderful. And you can barrel-age almost everything, I guess, now.
Will we be able to taste this beer in Norway?
I would love to. Maybe.
I'll give you my address.
I can send you one. Yeah, but probably the beer will be ready because, it's an Imperial Stout in September.
Yeah.
We will brew it early June, and it should mature to September. So after September, you can give me your address, or I can fetch you via Simon. So wonderful.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm Chris Betts from Transient Artisan Ales. I'm the brewer and owner of a small farmhouse-focused brewery in southwest Michigan. Mm-hmm. We also make a pale ale and a stout from here and there, but mostly barrel-aged sours and saisons.
Yeah, I just had your Fodor 2.
Yeah.
Very nice beer.
Thank you.
Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Fodor number 2 is an open oak-fermented saison base with Brettanomyces, Lactobacillus, and Pediococcus. That's then transferred into what was a white oak foeder, so it wasn't a wine foeder previously. It was built fresh for us. It had 1 beer in it before, and then foeder 2 was transferred into it to age for another 4 months afterwards. Developed a little bit of acidity, a little funkiness, dry, tart. It was mainly a beer that we made to add fruit to. So we split it up a lot of different ways. The version that you had was the unfruited version, the base beer.
Yeah. So it's a single brew. It's not blended.
No, it's a single. Well, there was 3 batches to fill the foeder.
Yeah.
But that one foeder was packaged several different ways, but they were each directly from the foeder.
But do you also do things like the Belgian breweries with lambics that do blend into?
Yeah, actually, that was the reason why we picked Southwest Michigan. We have a cool ship, so we do spontaneous beer as well. We don't call it lambic or goose because we respect them and what they do, and what we do is different. So we do blend between batches, between years. We've only been around in our tap room for a little over a year, so we're just getting into being able to blend different vintages. Yeah. But that's definitely our plan for the future, to blend some of the spontaneous beer from 1, 2, and 3 years together.
How big are you? I mean, how many liters? Liters, not barrels.
Okay, so in liters, we'll be producing about 1,300 hectoliters a year, roughly. And we're trying to stay about that size. We don't want to make too much. No. I like being able to produce everything that we have. And so
it's basically just you.
Yeah. I have an assistant brewer, and my girlfriend runs our tap room, but that's about it. Yeah.
But it looks like spontaneous fermented beers and sour beers and stuff like that is getting really big in the States now.
Yeah. Fortunately for me, I love drinking them and I love producing them. So it's been kind of the new popular thing. It doesn't nearly rival IPA as the top demanded beer, but it's getting popular. It allows me to be able to make more because it will sell.
What's your background in brewing and beer?
I brewed for a couple places in the U.S. before opening my own. But aside from that, I have no formal brewery training. I was just an assistant brewer and then a head brewer. at a couple spots before venturing out on my own. I actually started as a gypsy brewer, so I was brewing my beer at a facility I was working at, so I was just doing it part-time.
Yeah.
And then we were able to sell enough beer to turn it full-time, put all of our attention to it, and then just recently opened our own tap room.
Do you have a background as a homebrewer as well? Or?
Yeah, I've been homebrewing since I was 18, so 13 years now. I started homebrewing mainly with my friends in college because we couldn't buy beer legally at 18.
Yeah.
We bought it, but we were able to brew beer at 18 for some reason. So we made some really terrible beer, and it never really turned out as good as we hoped, but it was really interesting to me, and I kept with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you also do, like, there's also a popular thing about foraging and putting lots of different adjuncts to the beer. Do you do that as well? Or?
Yeah, we've just started doing that now that we have our own tap room. We're able to experiment a little bit more, try stuff out that we wouldn't necessarily do a full batch, but we can pull off. We've made a couple with, we harvested some juniper branches and made a rye saison with the juniper branches. We are fortunate to be in an area in Michigan that is kind of known as the best fruit producer in the Midwest. So we have access to grapes, cherries, blueberries. There's tons of blueberries around us. Peaches, apricots, anything that we would want, we can get right down the street. So it's really great for what we're looking to do. The sours and saisons, they really pair well with fruit. And we're in a big wine area, so that kind of helps us appeal to the wine drinker as well. That we can make a sour beer that tastes kind of like a wine to them.
Yeah, often sour beers, it's a link between, for wine drinkers,
it's
the beers. Yeah.
We have a lot of wine tours that come through, and normally they'll stop at one brewery, mainly for the men in the group that are tired of drinking beer all day. And that's how we've been able to convert a lot of the wine drinkers that normally will say, "No, I'm okay." I say, "Hey, how about you try this sour?" And then now they're a sour beer drinker.
Yeah. You're on a mission.
Yeah, we're changing hearts and minds.
Yeah. Good. I just tasted a blueberry lambic from the Calm in Belgium.
Oh, fantastic!
Is that something you can work with, or?
Decam makes some incredible lambics.
Just mind blowing.
Yeah, they're not too easy to find in the States, but every time we can, we appreciate it.
They also had a nectarine lambic.
I have not seen that.
That was weird. Weird stuff.
Oh, jeez. Next time, share some with me.
Yeah, definitely. But in your area, is there a lot of breweries?
Yeah.
What kind of breweries? Traditional breweries?
Most of them are traditional U.S. breweries, or at least what's kind of popular in the U.S. now, which means they're making a lot of mostly IPAs, almost all hoppy beers. Along with us, there is one other brewery in our area of Michigan that is making sour beers as well. But that's a portion of what they do, not a majority. There's another brewery that's making a lot of Belgian-style beers. Their flagship beers are more the saisons, golden ale, but they're not doing much in the way of wild yeast or bacteria.
No.
But the rest, the other 10 or 11 that are in our immediate area, are all making, mostly IPAs.
Yeah. The hazy ones, the juicy ones, or
they're still not doing that much in Michigan. We were one of the only ones around, definitely in the Southwest, that are making the hazy IPAs. There are a few others in the state that are doing it really, really well. Yeah. But in the Southwest, it hasn't really caught on, at least for the brewers. The beer drinkers are definitely enjoying them, but slowly, as demand grows.
Yeah. But maybe it's better that they drink sour beers than hazy hop juice.
My preference definitely leans towards the sour and funky beers, but I still appreciate a nice aromatic pale every once in a while.
Of course. Have you had any chance to taste any beers at the festival?
Yeah, I got around a little bit and tried a few really excellent beers so far. That beer I had from Bryggerpresentasjoner with licorice and That one was surprisingly good.
That was fantastic.
Yeah, when I saw licorice in a sour beer, I really kind of paused for a minute, but those guys make awesome beers, and I was blown away by it. Santa Paja always makes good beer.
Yeah.
You know, really, every beer we've had so far has been good, and I'm really surprised at how many sours there are and how receptive people are to them here.
Yeah,
like, half the beers I've seen are sour.
Yeah, that's been a real thing the last couple of years for like Goose and Berliner Weisses in Norway. Yeah. Especially those with passion fruit. For some reason.
Passion fruit. I don't blame them. Passion fruit's great.
It is.
Yeah, I was really shocked though that even in the U.S. where sour beers are pretty popular, you don't see that many as a percentage of all the beer that you have in a festival.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So this is your first time in Norway?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you will come back then?
I will definitely come back. It's beautiful.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But are your beers available in Norway? Or will they be?
We sent extra beer, part of the beer that didn't make it yet for the fest. So there was already extra beer coming to Norway, but I'm guessing the beer that was meant for the fest will also be extra at that point. So it'll be spread around, I'm guessing, Bergen. And we're definitely interested in sending more beer. We've loved it so far. Anything that gives me a reason to come here, right? Cool. Another reason to come here.
Another one, yeah. Okay, man, thanks a lot for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, this is Lauri from Vaat Brewery from Estonia, and we're a bunch of little gypsy brewers. We make most of our beers at the Proof in Belgium, but nowadays it's increasing that we also use a lot of our good friends in Estonia to go and make our concoctions. And one of the beers that we have here today also is the Alte Hansa, which we brewed right here in Bergen with the local heroes, Sufel. And that's a quick introduction. But as a general thing, there's 4 guys. I'm Lauri. Then we have our head brewer Johan, who's also here today. Markus, our resident Swiss guy, who moved back to Switzerland, so he couldn't be here. And then we have Oliver, who is also one of our founding members and the mastermind behind all of our beautiful designs.
But there is quite a funny story about how you ended up here.
Oh yeah, I never get sick and tired of talking about this, but I'm an interpreter by profession. So I was interpreting at this Hanseatic Days conference in Viljandi, Estonia, a couple of years ago. And it was everything, handmade ice cream, handmade cosmetics, craft, chocolate, whatever. And all of a sudden the last speaker was to me, completely unknown Norwegian brewer. I switched off my colleague's mic, who I was sitting in the booth with, started interpreting it myself, and it was Gar. And after the event was over, I saw him and Hugo sitting outside, went to them, said, I have a job for another hour, but I'll be back with some beers. Wait. Ran back to them, and we became friends. And then a couple of days later, they joined us for a bottling day in our pilot brewery in Tallinn, and we showed them the city a little bit. And by the end of the night, it was like I saw Gar and Hugo discussing something in Norwegian. Since that's not one of the languages I speak, I was kind of like looking at it. But at some point, Gar came to me, and it really did look like a scene from a romantic teenage comedy where the guy really shyly, coyly goes like, so would you like to brew with us? And I was like, yes, please. And the rest is history. We came here in January last year, 2016, and now we're back.
Yep.
Glad to be here. And the beer that we made with Sufel, that's also, I think, one of the, let's say, to me personally, it seems like one of the more unique beers, even at a festival with an amazing tap list like this. It's still, to me personally, it stands out a little bit because the mumme is the beer style that's something that really doesn't exist anymore. Yeah,
talk more about that. That's an interesting story.
Yeah, the mumme is a historic beer style that we found when we started thinking of ideas of what to brew with Sufel. Obviously, we tried to find something that would connect Bergen, Norway, and Tallinn. So obviously the Hanseatic League, because it also has the special meaning for us that we met thanks to the Hanseatic League. We found a recipe that was written in poem in German from like 1590 or something like that. And we omitted a couple of things from the recipe because it called for a handful of eggs, a bag of beans, and also a fistful of dirt, because obviously yeast wasn't invented or found back then. So we took those things out because, well, I don't really want to put beans in my beer anyway. But that's maybe just me being weird. I don't know. But what we
Or
did,
not being weird enough.
or not weird enough indeed.
Yeah.
Free bean stout, I guess. What we did is Johan, our head brewer, did a little test batch at home because he was eating some chutney, I guess, at the time. He got inspired and did a chutney-inspired beer, which includes a lot of tamarind, a lot of chili, cumin, all sorts of herbs and spices. And I think it still stands as one of the craziest beers also Sufell has made, because I keep hearing from everyone that how the hell did you manage to twist Gar's arms so much that he actually used adjuncts? Well, he did. he wasn't happy about it, but he did. And from a brewer standpoint, it's also a very interesting beer because we boiled it for 5 hours. It was a double mash, no sparge. We used the USO5 yeast, which is an amazing workhorse, but it was a first for us to use it. And Gar, during fermentation, let it climb up until I think 28 for a day or two. And then we also aged it on oak chips for a little bit. So it's a very weird dessert beer that, to me, goes really well with either stinky cheeses or cakes.
Or just in front of the fireplace, yeah?
Or just in front of the fireplace, or at the beach, or wherever, really.
At the beer festival.
Wherever you can consume beer, you can do that.
Yeah. But is this beer representative for the beers you brew, or what's your philosophy or your?
That's not really all that representative, because we haven't really done that much of these super crazy beers. Our main focus always is trying to make beers that are, on the one hand, interesting enough for the beer geek, but also very easily drinkable, so that if you take your grandmother to a bar for some reason, you can hand her one of our beers and she will still recognize it as beer also. Yeah. But we also quite often try to take, let's say, beer styles that maybe aren't as popular anymore, or what we like to call beer archaeology. For example, even the Vienna Red. We have a lager called Lager Than Life. And the Vienna Red is basically what lagers used to be before the Americans got a hold of them and started jamming corn and rice into everything. So we took the traditional malt base from that, then dry hopped it with New World hops, Citra in this case. And also what we're serving today is the India Pale Kölsch, where, for example, again, we took the traditional beer style of the Kölsch. We kept the malt base, the yeast, everything very true to the style, but then we dry hopped the hell out of it with Amarillo and Jarillo hops.
Yeah, it's kind of like New England Kölsch in a way. It is quite juicy and hazy and all that.
New England session Kölsch, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, it's good, really good.
I'm very glad you like it. We like it very much too.
So tell me a little bit about the beer scene in your country.
But the beer scene is exploding like crazy. For a small country of about 1.3 million people, we now have close to, I'm not 100% sure of the numbers, but last time I checked we had about 49 different breweries. And it's very young, it's super vibrant. It's only the last 5 years about, I think, where 5 years ago, the first craft beer started hitting the market. Pohjala, who's also represented here, is one of the pioneers. But there's weeks where 2 new breweries come out on the market, and it is becoming the go-to destination at the moment. Yeah. Per capita, I don't think you can really find many places that have more breweries.
That's true.
Well, Norway maybe.
Yeah, 5 million people and 200 breweries, I think.
Yeah, I think we're close there already.
So have you had time to test any other beers at the festival?
Well, I've made the rounds quite a bit yesterday. Not so much today because it's still early, but I'm definitely planning on. And I have to say I haven't had a bad beer yet. It happens every now and then that you go to events and you drink something that maybe you're not the biggest fan of. I can honestly say I haven't had anything that I wouldn't buy from a beer shop. Just but a lot of really standout stuff also. It's to me, honestly, I have to say it's the best beer festival I've been to. Not only because of the awesome tap lists by all of these great brewers that are here, but also just the atmosphere itself, plus the location. Oh man, you can't beat the location.
Let's drink to that, eh?
Let's drink.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hi, I'm David from Dry&Bitter. I do the graphic design, marketing and sales, and I love drinking beer.
That's a good start. Yeah, tell us a little bit about the brewery.
Sure. Dry&Bitter started in 2015. It sort of originated from Fermentoren, which is a bar in Copenhagen. Søren Wagner Partner and Jay Pollard started that bar together, and then Søren, who had a background in a very small sort of microbrewery that he did himself, started making beer for the bar, and they started needing more beer for the bar. People were receiving it very well, so they started up Dry&Bitter as part of that, and then it's grown and grown since then.
Why the name Dry&Bitter?
Well, originally it was a reference to a style of beer that Søren and Jay wanted to make, what they loved. So yeah, it really was, really the origins were IPAs, and perhaps, not so much. So yes, those two words are very relevant to the company in a sense, yeah.
And the beers you make, how can you describe them?
Well, yeah, we started off doing IPAs, as we would say, super fresh IPAs. That's what we're going for, and so there's definitely an influence from America. The West Coast and also the old school East Coast style as well. That's how we started, but then of course, over time we've explored into other genres. So we've been doing some really nice Baltic porters, and then more recently we've been doing a sour project, which we call the limited release. We have been barrel aging sours, blending with fruit, and we've just released the first 3 of those recently, which have been great.
The beer I have in my glass.
Yes. So that's Black Flag, and I tasted it for the first time today. It's festival exclusive for Bergen.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty intense. So it's a double mash imperial stout aged with Madagascan vanilla. And it's a collaboration with La Parata from Spain.
Really
So-
rich and big.
Yeah,
bold.
it's a big one.
Yeah.
12%. So it's that double mash effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we do a few pretty intense stouts as well, but like I said, the focus generally is drinkable beers. We're trying to make beers for everybody. We're not trying to make this exclusive kind of crazy stuff. It's beer for every man. And
You leave that to Michal, he can do that.
well, we just, this is what we're interested in. That's what we want to drink.
Yep.
I mean, it's obviously a selfish thing too. We make beer that we want to drink, and beer that we want to drink more than one of. Something that you can sit the whole night with your friends and drink happily.
But the Danish beer scene is really exploding the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's really competitive, which is great. There's so much going on in Copenhagen, but outside of Copenhagen as well, there's more and more coming up. So, I mean, there's just with every couple of months, there's someone new that's not just new, but really worth tasting. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah. But before we started recording, you were talking about a charity project. Could you talk a little bit about that?
We just did the launch of this at Fermentoren on Tuesday during the beer week for NBCC, and the project's called Hops Not Hate, and it really stems from the idea that we're in a very privileged position in this industry, and we're having a great time sharing our drinks with everybody. And we did a charity event over a year ago for the Syrian refugees, and we were amazed by the amount of breweries that came together and donated kegs for this event at Fermentoren, and the proceeds were obviously donated to the Syrian refugees and the charities associated. And after that, it got us thinking, perhaps we can develop this a bit further. There's so much that people want to give, and it's also a really easy way for the customer, to, if you know what I mean, to give as well, because they're buying a beer which they want to do anyway. They might pay a little bit extra to know that they're doing it for a good cause. So you know, it makes it kind of fun and rewarding for everyone, if you know what I mean. So Hops Not Hate, the concept of that really is that there's donations through every step of the beer, from its brewing to its serving to the customer. So the brewery, when it sells the beer that has been allocated towards this project, donates 50% of the profits. Half of that goes to one local charity, and the other half goes to a global charity. Then when it goes to the distributor or the importer or whoever's at the next step in the chain, they do the same thing. And so on and so on. So, you know, you can go through multiple steps there, the importer, distributor, bottle shop, bar, whatever it is that sells it. So when the customer buys it, they've obviously donated at multiple stages throughout its life, the beer's journey, if you want to say.
Cool.
And now we're working on actually taking it even further and getting, you know, people that are supplying us, for example, yeasts and grain and stuff like this, getting involved as well. So it's starting to take form. We had the launch of it last Tuesday, like I said, and that was for a collaborative beer we did with Cloudwater called Compassion, which is a passion fruit IPA. And we did a few other things as well, a chili sauce, and we had a very limited release sour beer. And yeah, all the proceeds from that event went to, in particular for that event, it was Husforby, which is a local Copenhagen sort of commune for homeless people, and then also to Doctors Without Borders, which is the global, as you may know them. So yeah, that was a success, and we're hoping it's going to keep going. The idea is it's not really necessarily our project. It's something that we want everyone to adopt themselves and it to spread. Yeah. So we've already got quite a few breweries who are interested, and they're developing projects now. So people like Beavertown and obviously Cloudwater have been involved, but we're talking to more and more people.
And in Norwegian breweries so far? And in Norwegian breweries so far?
I don't believe so, but maybe maybe after this weekend it'll be different.
This is your opportunity,
yeah,
man.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've been talking to people about it. We'll see.
And definitely something this podcast can support. Definitely.
Great. Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, and people can check out the website, which has a lot. Obviously, it's not a complicated concept, but we have to keep everything extremely transparent how it works. So if you go to hopsnothate.net, you can see a little bit more of the details of the workings of it. And for anyone that's interested, they can check it out there.
Hello, I'm Mike Cable. I'm the lead brewer at the Wild Beer Company in England. We're in the southwest of England, near Bristol. It was set up 5 years ago by Brett Ellis and Andrew Cooper, who previously worked for a brewery in Bristol. And they set out to mainly make wild beers and make the name, or the term wild beer, synonymous with sour beers all over the country.
So, but you're not doing only sour beers. You're doing
no. So we have a very wide variety of beers. We do anything between session pale ales. Fresh is a very big seller. We do Millionaire, which is a milk stout, which is really, really popular with women. They love that. And lots of sour beers, lots of barrel aging, lots of raw beers. We do fruited pale ales, all sorts. So a really wide variety.
It seems that there is a thing about sour beers and spontaneous fermentation going on also in England, in the UK.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
And cool ships, and actually really starting with a proper spontaneous fermentation is really taking off at the moment. There's a brewery which is I think it was the first brewery to actually install a cool ship for hundreds of years, for this century anyway. But we experimented with cool ships a few months ago, which went really well. So we've took them out of the cool ships, put them in the barrel, and they're aging really nicely. So that whole spontaneous thing is catching on, which is great because I love spontaneous wild beers, so all the better for it.
But working with spontaneous fermentation and wild yeast, wild bacteria, it's a bit of a challenge, isn't it?
It is, yes. You have to accept that these beers are going to do their own thing, really. And it's if you can brew a batch of beer and you can put it into barrels which you think are very similar, and they will just go in completely different directions.
Yeah.
And the ratio with bacteria and wild yeast that are in the barrels can just, the variety that you get from just one starting point is incredible.
Yeah.
And you can brew batches of beer in big tanks, and these subtle changes can bring about different characters.
Yeah.
But it's just a joy to work with because it's just a living thing, and you just it's just fun to accept that these are going to just they're the law to themselves.
But then lots of craft breweries or breweries in general, they talk about consistency. I mean, you have to deliver the same product over and over.
Yes.
But that can't happen with wild fermentation.
No, and that's we work a lot with consistency, especially with our pale ales, as you have to.
Of course, yeah.
Our main seller, Bibble, is just a kind of crossover pale ale, and that is just the same every time. Which is great because it gets you to training to do that side of things. But yes, we're luckily at this point in time with people drinking sour beer and getting to know it, they're willing to understand that it's not always going to be the same, and that's part of the pleasure in always trying it. And from one month or 1 year to the next, it's always evolving.
Yeah. But how much of your production is sour beers, and how much is?
It's, I would say 80% of the beers we actually, like the named beers, the brands we do a sour beer, but I would say it's probably just about 50-50 because of the pale ales we do are such a big seller that kind of overtakes, but it keeps the money coming in so we can spend the time to...
Yeah, that's your core beer.
Yes,
basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was talking some weeks ago to the guy from Urban Farmhouse. Are you doing similar things like foraging things and putting it into beer? And,
well, that's a range of beers that we are doing this year. So we've just started. Last year we started with a beer for every season with smoked beers, and we smoked the malt ourselves. Whereas this year we are doing a forage beer series. So we did Spring, which is a very light 3% beer with no hops at all, and we've just used beech and linden leaves when they're very young, and that adds citrusy notes and bitterness. And we've got Summer, which is a cherry-style beer, almost going like a Flanders Red, but with no cherries in it. We just use cherry wood branches in the boil and in the mash, and we're using cherry blossom in it to dry hop with flowers, pretty much.
But you said you're using the wood in the mash?
Yes, we have some foragers that we work with that get a lot of ingredients for us, lots of fruits in the autumn. And we just had bags of these chopped up cherry wood branches, mashed in, and then lay the branches on top. Yeah. And then as we were transferring into the kettle, we just chucked them in as the work was going in.
Right.
And it's imparted a really interesting flavour. Yeah, and I think that will develop over time because it was quite raw when we first brewed it. Yeah. And with the flowers as well, it's going to add a really complex, interesting flavour.
Will this be a barrel aged or?
I think yes, it will, but not for long. Just to pick up a bit of the wood. Yeah. But not So it will come out in summer. So it's just sit there and just.
That should be enough wood already.
Well, yes, indeed. Yeah, very much so. Yeah. It was. I mean, you don't get many beers that are brewed with actual branches in, so it was quite strange because I used to work with wood as a carpenter, and to get that aroma and that feeling from the beer is, it takes getting used to, but it works really well. I'm really pleased with it so far.
But that reminds me a bit about the traditional Norwegian brewing method with juniper branches.
Yes, I can teed are using it. Yeah. And that was it. That was kind of one of the first people I've heard that have done the same thing. But fascinating. And one of my highlights of the festival so far.
It's amazing beers. Yeah.
But I'd like to do that more. And Groot beers in general is something that really interests me. Yeah. So yes, I hope that the brewery will experiment more with that in the future. Yeah.
Raw beers, are you doing that as well?
We do. We have Somerset Wild, which we're serving at the festival, which is a raw beer. So we will mash in and then transfer it to the kettle and just take it up to 90 degrees and then transfer it to the FV. So there's no boiling. Yeah. So I mean, we used to just mash and sparge straight into the FV, whereas now to get it more consistent and just to make sure we get rid of some of the real nasties in the wort or the potential bacteria, we just take it up to 90. But it still keeps that raw kind of quite rough character. And no hops. It's just a raw beer and then fermented primarily with lactobacillus.
Yeah.
And then we'll add some yeast a few days into fermentation just to clean it up and get it moving, really. Yeah, it's one of my favourites.
Yeah. You have a pretty good distribution with your beers in Norway.
Yes, cask.
Yeah.
Distribute our beers. Yeah, and with the monopolies as well, I think they. So it's great. A lot of people have said that they've seen a good variety of our beers in Norway, but we all over the world. It's fantastic. We sell into Australia, South Korea, America, lots in Europe. So we get out there for a small brewery in the middle of farmland. Yeah, we distribute a wide range.
Yeah, how big is your production per year?
Well, it's a 30 hectolitre brew kit. So actually quite small compared to the amount of beer we make. But we've just started brewing 3 times in a day. So 90 hectolitres in one day. Which took a bit of getting used to because you kind of have to cross over the middle brew. Yeah. But so we I think at the moment we brew about 1.8 million litres a year. But we're ramping up production now to take us over. So when we build the new brewery, we will have the sales in place, so we don't just go in and then we've got all this extra beer that we've made, but nobody to sell it to. So I think it's going to be quite a transition to go from working flat out for a year to be able to make the same amount of beer in a day that pretty much that we make in a week at the moment.
Normally when I do interviews, we drink the beer that the interviewer has made. No, we're not. No. Let's talk just quickly about the beers we have. You're having Breweries, yeah?
Yes, I am. The salt and sour. Yes.
Yes. Pretty nice beer, isn't it?
It is very nice. Yeah. Yes. And the cucumber beer is also amazing. But this is. It's nice. I haven't drunk too much of it yet, but it's definitely my kind of beer.
Yeah.
How about you? You've got the same beer? Have you got one of ours? Or?
No, actually, I've just had your beer, so I moved on to Oro Brewing.
Oh yes, indeed.
Yeah. Pretty nice, juicy IPAs.
This is good though. It's a good amount of like passion fruit, I think, in there.
I don't think they put it in there.
Well, tastes.
Yeah, the taste. Yeah.
Yes, we have a fruited pale ale that we called Pogo, which we add passion fruit to. So it's it's quite a similar character to that.
Yeah. Excellent. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hello, my name is Arni. I'm one of the brewers from Borg Brygghus in Iceland.
And the story about Borg?
Story about we started out in 2010. First 3 or 4 years we were relatively small, but last 3 years we've been expanding some, relatively new to exporting. We're trying to do like all sorts of styles. We're not like pinpointing a certain like theme around it. So we do some hoppy beers. We sort of became we didn't not intentionally but we become coming quite known for our stouts, I guess, since we have a lot of them. But we've also been doing some sours, so it's all over there, I guess. Yeah.
But what is the beer scene in Iceland like?
It's been changing a lot in the last 5 years. So only 10 years ago, we only had our first small craft brewery opened, which was only the 3rd official brewery. Today we have 15, and I know that
15.
Yeah, 15.
And you're how many? 300,000.
330,000. So
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, but most of those brewers are starting up really small. Yeah. So to this day we have very few that have capacity to do real impact. But we're already seeing some signs of new ones. With some financial backland coming up, so we'll probably have have a pretty medium-sized ones soon. And I know that know of 4 brewers setting up their brewery equipment right as for now. So probably in next year we'll have around 20 brewers, and so competition is getting harder, I guess. Yeah.
But of course, there is a connection between Norway and Iceland, and there is a connection between Borg, Brygghus, and Bergen and Syfjell, and that's why we brought in Gar.
Yeah.
Say hello, Gar.
Hello, everyone.
You've actually been to Iceland as well, and
yes,
and brewed
we've
with
been
this
to
place.
Iceland, and I'm scarred for life after the visit. To be honest. No, yeah, it was a very nice trip last year, or the year before last. We were there right before Christmas, weren't we?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. It was really fun. Wasn't it like? Was that like the first time you all got together for like?
Yeah, it was our first, I'd say, proper company trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were 5 people that traveled up there. It was a great trip, and also the whole meeting of Borg Brygghus was very interesting. We met them during a very wet night in London. About a few months before, and
You can't remember it, can you?
Yeah, I remember.
Remember parts of it at least.
I remember.
There was brennivin involved.
Yeah. I remember. I brought my brother with me, and he approached you guys and told me you were really cool guys, and we should like talk to you guys because seemed to be really nice.
Yeah. No, so we clicked, and that was it. And they came back a few months later to Bergen after we'd been to Iceland. So we've done a proper collab brew where we went to brew at their place first, and then they came to Bergen to brew afterwards. Which is that's the way it should be done, really.
Yeah.
It's great.
Not just an email with a recipe and then,
No. Well, of course there were emails back and forth regarding the recipes, but I mean the first beer we brewed in Iceland was actually at least partially a result of the rather drunken talk we had in London, where the idea of using dried cod and so on in the beer came up.
Stockfish, yeah. But how was that to brew? Could you just talk a little bit about that beer you brewed?
The beer that we made in Iceland.
Yeah, with stockfish.
Yeah. So the idea was to make like a barley wine.
Yep.
And so it's the like the base beer is like we did like a lighter colored version than some, I think.
Yeah, with quite a lot of wheat in there, so you could probably call it a wheat wine in some respects.
Yeah, wheat wine. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. It wasn't like a it wasn't barley wine. It was like a wheat wine approach. So Yeah. So.
And
what about the stockfish? When did that come into the picture?
Well, the thing is that it was a joke to begin with, and then we discussed the recipe back and forth, and sort of hadn't talked much about the stockfish. But when we came to the airport in Oslo on our way up to Iceland, they were selling these small packets of stockfish just for tourists, and I thought, well, what the hell? We need to bring it. So we basically just brought a handful of stockfish and chucked it in the mash. But we also brought juniper berries from Bergen. So that was also in there as an addition together with the hops.
Yeah.
So
Along we also had some lime leaves in there.
Yes, kaffir lime leaves. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
the stockfish kind of binds it together, since like both Icelandic and Norwegian have the tradition of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's
but
like
you can't pick it out in the flavor.
No.
There is, I mean, if the beer happens to taste of stockfish, it's certainly not from the fish itself, because we use like 30 grams perhaps.
Yeah. It would have to be something fishy about the fermentation.
Oh yes,
I think.
definitely.
There's something fishy going on.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when I tasted it for the first time, and I rated it on Rate Beer, and I actually got some stockfish.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, good for you then, because I don't. No, but I think it was a very nice beer and a very interesting beer. It's not. I mean, wheat wines are not plenty.
No.
So it was cool. A lighter version of barley wine, and you had some American style hops in there, and you got the fruitiness both from the kaffir lime leaves and also from the juniper berries. The juniper berries were quite special actually, because they were really fresh, and they were you could actually eat them.
Juicy.
Yeah, very
Never
really
see-
juicy.
Yeah.
You could like eat them as snacks, and I've never encountered that before with juniper berries. So they were really, really nice.
Normally, juniper berries is gin for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a snack.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Yeah. We need to talk a little bit about this beer. This is a beer that you made in Iceland containing sheep shit.
Yeah.
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 Tell me about it. I haven't tasted it, so I'm going to taste it now.
It's probably our best known export product. Sort of like if you put in Borg Brygghus on Google for the English results, you probably get up some results of some articles about this beer, but it sounds really obscure, but it's actually a very like a basic approach for us, because in Iceland we don't have forests like you have here in Norway, but like in the old days the fuel of choice, like it was just a farmer's way of they were resourceful, so they just found a way to use a sheep shit. They dig it out from the farmhouses in the spring when the sheep go out onto the mountain, and they dry this over the field during the summer. And then when the lambs come down from the mountain in the fall, they slaughter them and smoke them in this dried sheep dung. But it's actually like, when it's dry, it's like completely dry, and it doesn't resemble shit at all. It's more like a peat or something like that. So it's just a very common fuel. And so I think it was only a matter of time before some brewer in Iceland did this, because it's a very traditional thing. Yeah. You can basically get sheep shit smoked lamb anywhere in Reykjavik. So
but you were
we were just the first, and I bet some had been thinking about it for a while. So yeah. But the flavor is actually like delivering very interesting. Like first we did a trial batch with only a blonde ale with it, and it was like really super strong. We used like 100% of that. The flavor delivered is quite interesting. It's like, it's nothing like the regular birch or beechwood smoke. It's and the aroma and the finished beer, that one Surtur, has a lot of like a barnyard, like farm aroma, but doesn't resemble shit in any way. No. But I bet that some might see it because they hear shit, they think shit, and they smell it. So
it's like the stockfish. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't think that it smells like shit, but
no.
Yeah.
But did you actually put the shit in the beer, or did you just?
No, it's So we only smoke the malt in this traditional way. So
yeah, it's quite smoky. Is this something you could have done? I mean, sheep shit. Is that your thing, Gar?
I wouldn't say sheep shit's my thing. No, I don't know. Well, thank you for having high thoughts of me. No, but it's an I mean, sheep shit would have been plenty in Norway as well, but it's not the fuel of choice, of course. Yeah. It's a very good beer, though.
It is, definitely, yeah. But I was talking to the guys from Vaat earlier, and then you did a collab with them, and with the mumme, which actually, the original recipe contains human feces.
Not our original recipe, I have to just point that out. I guess the thing with mumme is there are several versions of what it might have been, or it's an old medieval style. We looked at old sources for recipes, and I didn't come across anything containing feces there, but it had a lot of interesting spices, and we put a lot of different spices in there.
Will there be more collabs between Syfjell and Borg?
Who knows? If it's up to me, that's all right.
Yeah, I feel really good about it. We like hanging with each other. So
yeah. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers. Skål.
Skål. Skål.
Yeah.
Du har lyttet til episode 30 av Norges første og antageligvis beste ølpodcast, nemlig Vestkast, som støttet av Vestbrygg, favorittleverandøren av utstyr og råvarer til hjemmebrygging, og Pingvinen, favorittutestedet i Bergen som leverer god norsk håndverksmat og godt norsk håndverksøl. Husk at du kan følge podcasten vår på Facebook og Twitter. Du kan rate oss på iTunes, og du kan hjelpe oss med å lage enda mer og enda bedre podcast med å gå inn på vår hjemmeside vestkast.no og bruke vår PayPal donation-link. Denne episoden produsert i Spacecraft Studio og laget av Rolf Bergesen.